huge controversy in the very last lap of the Gran Turismo Nations Cup final for 2022 in Monaco. This race decided who the best driver in the world is in Gran Turismo in 2022. It's a huge race, and it was massively controversial. It went to the stewards. Multiple contacts are going to happen on this lap, and I'm going to let you know how I think this should have been called. Now, I need to disclaim, I need you to know, because I'm going to give you my honest opinion, but I have raced Coque Lopez quite a few times, loads and loads of times in the last few years in the top split of the daily race in Gran Turismo in Europe, and I've always raced quite hard but fair with him. But I just want you to know that because we have a bit of history together. Now, to set the scene here, Angel Inostroza is going down the home straight, and he is on worn soft tyres. Now, he's going to be on the fastest tyres on this last lap. It's all going to come to a head when the other two drivers come out of the pit. So Coque Lopez and Miyazono have just pitted for the slower, harder compounded tyres. Let's see where they come out. Now, here we go. You can see at this point, Coque Lopez in first place, and you have actually Miyazono in second place. But Angel Inostroza, you see that just right on the screen, he's going to come out just ahead of Miyazono. So, incredibly tight already. Now, if you're Coque Lopez's position, you know you're on the faster tyre. So you're on the slower tyre, the hard tyre, and Inostroza's on the fast tyre, the worn soft. So you need to defend as much as possible. This is going to be a lap of pure defence. You need to make it ugly. You need to make it as difficult as possible for Inostroza. And this is the most difficult point of the lap because we're going on to a massive straight here. The next corner coming up is a tight right-hander. This is instant number one. And I want you to let me know in the comments, by the way, how would you rate all of these instants? Now, Inostroza's going to come alongside. Now, as he comes alongside, his rate of acceleration decreases because he suddenly loses the slipstream. And it's really important to note that these cars, the Red Bull cars, have so much downforce. It's not a sort of corner where you're going to understeer, you're going to wash and understeer. So there is going to be some contact here between Coque and Inostroza. Now, if you blink, you'll miss it, but the consequences are severe. So have a look here. Tiny bit of contact, and because these are such high downforce cars, Inostroza loses that downforce and ends up going all the way around the corner. He's going to lose out to Miyazono as well. Now, for me, that is a racing instant. Alongside Coque Lopez, he defended the inside, comes across to kind of maximise his entry to the corner, and a slight bit of contact. For me, that is a racing instant. But we're going to continue. Inostroza now needs to get past Miyazono as quick as possible. Now, here we can see here, this is an absolutely critical moment of the race. You have Inostroza behind this tree. You got Miyazono on the inside, and then you got Coque Lopez right on the inside here. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this really slow so we can see what happens here, because you probably missed this on the official broadcast. Now, what's going to happen is Coque Lopez is going to get bounced into. You saw Miyazono closing in on Lopez, and you can see behind this tree, Lopez and Miyazono have made contact. That's going to push Lopez back into Miyazono, and Miyazono into Inostroza, and Inostroza is going to come the worst off. You can see here at this point, and then he comes back into Miyazono. Now, that is a funnel of 3 cars into one. And I think that is also, this instant, I think, is a racing instant. Coque Lopez has been squeezed there on the outside. They're trying to go through 3 abreast. When you make contact in these very high downforce cars, there are really severe consequences. And Miyazono spears into the wall. Absolutely unbelievable scenes. So let's play it forward now at normal speed. So instant number 2 for me, I also think is a racing instant. Coque Lopez now is in second. As it stands right now, with a few corners to go, Inostroza is going to win the Nations Cup. Now, Inostroza takes quite a wide line here, which I was surprised about. And Coque Lopez, I think, sees that at this point, and you can see Lopez is going to go up the inside. Now, this one, for me, I think this should have been a penalty for Coque Lopez, a 1 second penalty, whatever. That gap is clearly closing. I'm going to go here, play it again really slowly so we can see. Inostroza, I think, shouldn't have left the door open that much, but as he sweeps through, you can see Coque Lopez is in that gap, and there's critically, there's more space there for Lopez on the inside. Lopez has, you know, a foot or so on the inside, and he's making contact with Inostroza on his outside. So for me, this one has to be, I think, a penalty for Coque Lopez, because he's now squeezed Inostroza out. Continues to squeeze him. I think this is all right at this point, but because of the way it started, I think he's essentially barged his way through. And for me, I don't think that was a legitimate overtake. So, but I can see the stewards calling it either way. I can see the stewards not wanting to get involved. The stewards in a very, very, very difficult position. So for me, instance 1 and 2, I think we're racing instance. Instant 2, for me, I think that instant, you know, obviously they need to at the time say it's under investigation, but I think this one on the last, pretty much the last corner, was actually the instant that I think Coque Lopez was a little bit too robust. But I wouldn't call it 100%. I would say, if you had to ask me in absolute isolation, I would say that's probably a 1 second penalty. But there we go. We saw the stewards, by the way, taking quite a lenient approach often in the series. Karatza as well in the repechage for manufacturers. If I remember, repechage for nations, I can't remember. Also the very, very strong manoeuvre. And I think it was maybe on Cockapon, they let it go. But there we go. Let me know what you think in the comments. That's my view. Coque Lopez, congratulations to him. Very well deserved. I've raced him a lot. But wow, that was a lot of drama. I'll see you next time.